1. So it's a busy Saturday in the cafe. A queue of about 7 people waiting to order. A customer comes in with his little dog and joins the queue. I interrupt the customer I am serving to say, "Sir, I'm sorry, but dogs aren't allowed in the cafe. You can take him round the side entrance and into the garden, and then come in to order." He is looking right at me and starts to turn around, so I go back to my customer. As I go to serve the next customer, I realize he's still there, but now is holding his dog. Again I say, "Sir, I'm sorry, but dogs aren't allowed in the cafe." He looks around as if I'm talking to someone else. So, I say it again, but louder. "Yeah, I'm holding him." "They're not allowed inside the shop, even if you're holding them." "He's not even on the floor." "Now he's right next to the cakes instead." "I only want a takeaway cappuccino, 1 sugar." He starts rustling around for the money to pay me. "I'm afraid there is a queue, so I will serve you when it's your turn. If you could just take the dog outside and come back to order." "I can't leave him outside alone." "Okay, I'll come out with your order." He starts to walk away. I go back to my customer, and he returns to his place in the queue, so I say, "Sir, please take the dog outside." When I have served the other customers, I go outside with his takeaway coffee and confirm the order. He gives me cash, I go back in, get his change and return. At which point he launches into a tirade about how ridiculous it is that I would lie and say that dogs weren't allowed, as he had seen them in there before, and had even had his dog in there. I told him that dogs are welcome in the garden, as I had told him the last time he had tried to come in the front of the shop with his dog. But he had gone round and sat in the garden that time. And if he had brought the dog into the shop, and no one had said anything before, it would have been because they didn't see him behind the counter. I pointed to the sign on the door that said, "No dogs allowed in shop. Please use side entrance to the garden." He continued to rant, saying that he had never heard of a cafe that didn't allow dogs. I explained that we have an open kitchen, and health and safety dictates that we do not have animals in our kitchen, which is basically the whole shop. Cue more ranting about other cafes that allow dogs. I tell them that is our right not to allow them, and that those establishments likely have closed kitchens, or do not care about getting a low star rating. After a few more minutes of ranting about how babies are as much of a health and safety risk as dogs, he demands to speak to the manager. So I tell him that he is speaking to the manager. He gets all flustered and says, "Not you, the old lady that's actually in charge." So I say, "The old lady? You mean the owner? That's my mother. Would you like me to call her?" He huffs and puffs and hands me the empty coffee cup. He drank it with shaky hands in between bursts of shouting, and says he will never come back. This happened about 2 years ago. It popped into my mind when I saw him going into our cafe when I visited over Christmas. When he came out and saw me sitting outside, he had such a horrified expression that I had caught him back there. I was so tempted to say, "Cappuccino, 1 sugar, right?" Just so he knew I 100% remembered him. But I was good, and just smiled. 2. No more shitty restaurant jobs. No more constant and tiring work that somehow never seemed to be enough hours. No more shitty servers verbally abusing me who are twice my age. I work as a host at Applebee's, and when I first started it was a dream job. Beautiful women managers who were mothers themselves, so they treated us hosts with the respect of a good mom. No minor problem we did was met with abuse, and everyone treated me so nicely. However, as with any chain restaurant, things never last. My first host manager disappeared, the assistant manager, and then my general manager disappeared. Both transferred to other stores, and boom, here comes the man who would eventually ruin my experience here. We went through quite a couple of managers, but James was here to stay. He was the host manager now and practically ruined things. He started favoring the servers, making them entitled and allowing them and the cooks to berate us and embarrass us. I am 18, and at the time was one of the 2 older ones. Most of the hosts are underage and don't know any better, so I would always speak up when a server disrespected them or me. Whoops, there goes a target on my head. It gradually came from a few snippy comments from servers to eventually, I came to work every day and ruined someone's day. Recently, it has escalated to the point where my manager wrote me up for harassment. I have tried my best to stay mature and come to work and get out. I enjoyed my job every single day I came because us hosts stayed together and would take the battering of the servers every single time. I created a group chat so we could have an easier time picking up and dropping shifts, and we began to talk every day. Now I called these people my friends and truly believed they were on my side. However, one of the newest girls has a huge problem with me, and when I thought I befriended her, she told my manager to write me up for negative behavior. I was venting about how the server was cursing in front of the restaurant. New girl mentioned no problems at all. Now I came into work today and was handed suspension papers. Funny enough, I had a surprise as well. I have never been fired from a job before. I'm not stupid. Things were getting very hostile and worse every day no matter what I did. So I had been job searching for something better. I am studying for early childcare education, and Thursday I was offered a full-time job for teacher's assistant, and I start in 2 weeks. So when my boss tried to surprise me, I took it with grace, handed him my letter and walked out. If I ever wanted a side Applebee's job, I would definitely go to them, albeit another location. But for the love of God, I am too young to argue with a 30-year-old woman on why she cannot berate and call a 16-year-old host a bitch because she didn't clean her table fast enough. I stress myself too much for $5.50 an hour plus tips. Full-time, weekends off, and $9 an hour to play with kids and earn experience in my degree is amazing to me. I start in 2 weeks. Couldn't be happier. 3. This happened almost a year ago back at my first job. I worked at a popular hotel chain as a restaurant server. There was a chef that liked to make food for the servers and bartenders to eat if we didn't like what they offered for the employee meal that day. This day he brought in kimchi and offered the restaurant staff a bowl. The thing about kimchi is that it requires cabbage and fermented vegetables, both of which I absolutely despise. He poured me a bowl and me being too nice to refuse, accepted it. Since it was better than the employee menu that day, I decided that eating the soup with the bread roll might make it more appetizing, so I put a single roll in the microwave and set it for 1 minute. After turning on the microwave, I went out to check if anyone was waiting to be seated, and there was an old couple at the host stand. There wasn't anyone else but me at the moment. The supervisor and other server had gone outside for a smoke break before the dinner rush had started. There was also another server, but his job was to deliver room service orders, but he wasn't anywhere to be seen. After greeting the guests and fetching their drink order, I went into the back and instantly there was a smell of burnt bread, and there was a cloud of yellow smoke coming from the microwave, and making its way to the rest of the kitchen. In a panic, I turned off the microwave and opened the door, and even more smoke rose. You couldn't even see the roll because of how much smoke there was. I didn't know what to do, so I went to the front and saw there was a plate on the line that was supposed to be heading up to room service. The server wasn't there, and to avoid dealing with the burnt roll, I quickly took the plate and delivered it up to the guest. In the time I was in the service elevator and got onto my floor, the fire alarm was going off and guests were stepping out of their rooms, confused and worried out of their minds. They saw me in my uniform and started asking me if I knew what was going on. Knowing damn well it was my fault, but not knowing how to deal with the situation, I told them I didn't know and to call the front desk for answers. I delivered the order to the confused guest and hauled ass down to the kitchen to see that every chef, as well as the servers and a bartender, were opening doors and bringing fans to let out the smoke. The second I walked in, all eyes turned to me, and I could feel my face flush with embarrassment. Oh no, what happened?
Jerry Swisher, someone started a fire in the microwave.
Was it you? Yes, but it was an accident.
I'm so sorry.
Of course it was you.
Why the fuck did you put 10 minutes in the microwave? And didn't you see that there wasn't a glass plate in there?
Wait, what the fuck? Upon closer inspection, someone had removed the glass plate, but the reason why I didn't know was that there was a basket liner covering where the plate would be. But we always kept a liner in there, so you couldn't see the plate anyway. So I assumed the plate was still there, and I mistakenly put 10 minutes instead. Apparently the missing plate and the basket liner caused the roll to catch on fire. Minutes later, my supervisor came up to the host stand, out of breath. She had just told the front desk to call off the fire department and was not pleased with me at all. She said she'll have to file an incident report and that I should expect to be called in by management over setting off a fire in the kitchen, before muttering about needing a smoke break and walking back out again. Management never talked to me about it, and everyone seemed to have a laugh at my expense, which I didn't really mind. Nobody there ever let me live that down, and the only person peeved about it was the supervisor and head chef. I'm still surprised that I wasn't fired over that, but I still ended up leaving about 2 months later, since it was a crappy job with crappy management to begin with. 4. I have slowly shifted to solely working at my day job, and haven't worked at a restaurant in about a month now. Remembering this event is one of the many reasons why I haven't been very eager to return to my restaurant job. I just started working at this place about 5 years ago. It's a high-volume 2-floor sports bar. Everything is very fast-paced, and it's not unusual for many parties to be booked at one time. One server could have a 20-top, and a bunch of other tables simultaneously, and it was expected that you knew what you were doing. I was transitioning from being a wedding bartender, so it was a bit of an adjustment, but I was getting the hang of it. There was a server there, I'll call her Emily. She had been there for a couple of years, and had been one of the people to train me. She obviously was good at her job, so she was in charge of a lot of parties that came in. This particular shift she had 2 10-tops and a few other tables, and everything was going well. Since it was one of my first solo shifts, I only had 6 tables in my section that were full, and pretty chill, so I was helping Emily run her drinks. As I dropped off a Long Island for this man, he grabs my wrist and tells me, "Get that girl back over here right now." I was taken aback that he would just grab me like that. I was used to having a bar between myself and customers. I pulled away, but I tried to keep my cool and say, "I'm sorry, Emily is pretty busy right now. Can I get you anything?" He practically yelled at me, "No, I want the other girl!" Yeesh, okay. I told Emily that this man seems very upset and he wouldn't tell me why. She goes to check on him. The emergency? He wanted extra lemons with his Long Island, and somehow Emily was just supposed to know that. Why he wouldn't just let me get him the lemons was super weird as well. We were both occupied enough to just let it go and not think about it too much. Things started to pick up, and more people were joining one of Emily's parties. One of her 10-tops was now about 25 people. My tables were still hanging out and not really turning that quickly, so I was helping Emily out however I could when she needed it. Things were actually going pretty well because Emily was good at her job and I was just a helping hand. Until the meals for the larger party came out. That man made Emily run for everything. More napkins, sauces, another fork, more ice, more water, more ranch, another Long Island, etc. All at different times, of course. If I tried to bring him something for Emily, he would say he didn't order it, and then 2 seconds later ask Emily where that same item was. Emily tried to be preemptive, and bring him extra lemons with his drink this time, or 2 ranches instead of 1, to which he scoffed he didn't order them and she was wasting them. He kept making snide comments about how slow the service was, and they need to hire more competent people. Emily and I were too busy to really care about what he was saying, and we were writing him off as just some asshole. But his comments did not go completely unnoticed. The people around him were obviously uncomfortable. I asked Emily if she wanted me to tell the manager about this very rude, needy man, but she said it was fine. I could tell she was getting frustrated, who wouldn't be, but it was her customer and her table, so I followed her lead. I didn't want to get her in trouble somehow, but I did not like the way that man was treating her. Every time he asked for something else, I began to get more and more snippy with him. I finally just straight up told him he was not the only person at the party, and Emily had to try to give attention to all the guests. I tried to say it in the nicest voice possible, while also getting across that he was being ridiculous. I was new, so I wasn't trying to rock the boat, but this guy was being mean for no reason. After a while I was cut and my tables were finishing up, so I was helping Emily bus her party tables. She dropped off the asshole's check and he barely looked at it before stopping her. He says, "Hey, I know I was an asshole to you all night, Most waitresses don't get my humor. Usually my servers cry. I tried hard to break you, but you did a great job putting up with me." He winked at her and put his credit card in the book. Emily didn't even say anything, just ran his card and gave the book back. Then she immediately went into the back and burst into tears. I had heard my fair share of customer bullshit while bartending, but openly admitting to just emotionally fucking with your server for kicks was a new one for me. He ended up tipping really well, which almost made it worse. Like he thinks he can get away with actively trying to make his servers upset, just because he has money. I mean, I guess that's better than the server going through all that and getting nothing, but still. The fact that some sadistic people use the people in the service industry as an outlet for their stupid little mind games is disgusting. I feel that this example is a pretty rare thing that goes way beyond the usual customer entitlement. But how mean can you be? What has to happen to you as a person to be able to treat another human being like that for fun? Working in the service industry has given me a very thick skin. I am a good server and know how to handle people. I can write off most customers' bad behavior as just a moment in my life I have to get through. I have dealt with many assholes and will continue to deal with assholes even out of the service industry. But I don't think they are as concentrated in any other industry. Being in the service industry definitely shows you the ugly side of humanity sometimes. More power to you if you can get through it. But I wish we didn't have a service culture where we are forced to put up with it. 5. So I have worked at a chain restaurant for a couple of years now. One of the policies we are made to adhere to is if we have a table with more than 12 guests, 2 servers are required to help them, even if the tables only take up a single server section. To set the scene, I am working a busy Friday night about a month ago when a family comes in, saying they have a total of 30 coming in about 45 minutes. We don't do reservations, it's first come, first served. So they ask to be added to the wait. I'm in one of the more party-friendly sections with just tables, no booths, so the hosts start flagging my tables to get things ready. So far, business as usual. Then one of my managers comes up, a real stickler, says to make sure I take the table with the other server in the adjacent section to mine. I already knew the drill, so I of course promised to make sure. Here's where things started to suck. The other server, I'll call her S, is notorious for being very lazy and very table greedy. Tries to do just enough to get a table in and out, not a team player, etc. I wasn't looking forward to taking the table with her, but I thought I'll just make things as easy as heck for us. When the table got sat, I began by introducing myself and S, and began by asking if we are all going to be on a single check or needed them separate. Found out that since it's about 9 different families with kids, we'd need 9 checks. No biggie. What I did is then assigned each family a number from 1 to 9. Told them to remember their number if they needed alcohol refills or anything brought for them. So S and I could be on the same page even if we couldn't find each other. The group liked the idea and the kids loved telling their number when they ordered their drinks. Now halfway into taking drink orders, S goes to her section to take care of her tables, no biggie. But I was a little annoyed. As soon as I finished taking orders, I let her know that once her tables start getting up, I'll take half to help make things easier. This is a normal thing as well when a server's whole section is taken up by a big top, and is splitting it with someone with an open section. She agrees, and I move on to getting waters poured for the party while she takes care of her section. Dinner service continues, and S is nowhere to be found. I bring drinks, take orders, send the orders to the kitchen, refill glasses and clear dishes away, all solo. S apparently has just been in her section taking more tables without letting me know that they had turned. Dessert comes and goes, and I drop off the 9 checks. One family thanks me for being so attentive when they hand me payment, and all I can think is, well, I had to be, my other server is nowhere to be found. I pick up payments and they all go on their way. Suddenly, S is right there ready to find out what her half of the tips will look like. I'm a pretty passive dude and I don't like confrontation, so I just start calculating what the total is and subtract the 3% tip out to the bussers and bar. It comes to $60 to each of us. Thank God the table drank. When I tell her this, she has the audacity to say,
"Hey, would you mind tipping me an extra $15 on top of that? I still have to get Christmas presents for my kids, and since you don't have any kids...
I was completely shocked. I had to look at her for a minute before I said, look, I wasn't going to say anything. But you were completely absent from the table. You focused on your own section and didn't even let me take any of the tables, leaving me to take this alone. You're lucky I'm even letting you have half of this. She gives me this look like I'm the asshole and tells me a sob story about her boyfriend losing his job and that she just wants her kids to have a nice Christmas. I say, look, I'm sorry, I have bills too. She is now visibly pissed and storms off to our manager. She claims to him that it was a total of $150 after tip out, and that I am trying to only give her $60. He looks at me fuming, so I show him the receipts and tell him the whole story. He chews out ass for not following policy and instructs me to keep the full tip. I decide to keep just $100, so I hand her a 20 and with a shit-eating grin I say, Merry Christmas. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates number 29. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Well, well, they won't actually go up in this order, but this is the last video I'm recording. Last set of stories I'm recording, and I've been recording since Wednesday, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of constant recording stories. Aha, right. These still need to be edited, of course, but I'm going to take a little break now, rest my voice, grab a bath. I'm not going to grab a bath, I'm going to have a bath, and grab a bite to eat. That's what I'll do. Then rest for a bit, and then I'll start editing. So with that, I'm going to head off for now. I keep going Irish when I try to talk. I don't know what's happening. I think I've gone a bit peculiar. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.